Meg Hat Atheist is saying, do you think that wokeism is causing a religious conservative backlash? What not have would I'm going to rephrase this. Would this have not happened without leftist radicalism? Okay, there is a conservative backlash, but I think it is like become a McCarthy-esque backlash where they just turn woke and CRT, like now it means anything that just generally opposes like racism. And it's I think the way that the Republican establishment or conservatives have now handled this issue is more akin to like a witch hunt than anything actually productive that actually challenges the ideas that are being put forth by academic theories like critical race theory. They don't engage with them. They just put a ban on them in schools, which is stupid, possibly illegal.
Right.
But Armin, do you think that this would not have happened without leftist radicalism? Is this the left's fault?
I mean, it's actually true. I think so, but to be fair, the wokeism also is a reaction to right-wing bigotry, right? So it's like a pendulum that overreacts on both sides, right? But also reacts accurate in good ways as well, right? So, for example, you have a lot of bigotry in society, discrimination against and sexism, right? And you get what you saw, what the left did was come up with a proper reaction to that. I mean, if you look at the left is the home to in the West is you have to give the left credit for being the source of the greatest human rights movement in the past century, right? So when it comes to women's rights, gay rights, trans rights, minority rights, all the ideas of all the liberal values were championed and successfully normalized through left-leaning activists, right? So the bigotry and the sexism that was coming from the religious right was challenged and successfully defeated in so many battles, not all of them, by the challenge that came from the left, okay? However, the success of this movement was so good and so effective that it became so popular that some people on the fringes took it to extreme levels, okay? And those people who took it to extreme, right, like the radical leftists that you mentioned, are used by a lot of right-leaning people to dismiss the left as a whole, right? But again, we shouldn't forget that the left was responsible for normalization of a lot of the life and the rights of a lot of people that were completely dismissed or marginalized by right-leaning people. The left successfully challenged all that, and this focus on the people who are going extremely, like going to taking these movements to extreme levels, this focus on that is an attempt to make it seem like this whole left thing is ridiculous and should be dismissed, right? So, but however, so now you look at these, I don't know, woke scold or whatever you want to call them, radical left or whatever, and now the reaction to that, some people are reacting to that, some people from the left also reacting to that. I mean, like, this is crazy, this is insane, and we shouldn't do this. Like, we should be the sane left versus instead of like this ridiculous left. And if they were called out, right? However, some people who used to not be bigots have now taken this anti-wokeism movement to a place where the pendulum is now swinging to the other side. Like, some people are like, yes, this wokeism is insane, this is not right, but they are also now getting, and that was like calling out wokeism was very successful, right? We could see a lot of left-leaning people also calling it out as well. But because that was very successful, now a lot of people who were jumping on the anti-woke bandwagon were also now going like, hey guys, you're going into the bigoted side, you're going into actually being homophobic and transphobic side, you're actually going to the racist side, you're going actually to the sexist side. Like, we're anti-woke, but don't go crazy with your anti-wokeness. And now the pendulum is now for some of these anti-woke people is now going to the like, okay, now you have joined the bigoted side. You have gone too far with your anti-wokeness. But go on.
What I think is really interesting, and this is just in my personal observations, I think it's very interesting I think a lot of these people who started off on like the liberal left, criticizing the illiberal left, you know, from a generalizing term, anti-woke perspective, swinging too far and then going into an area of bigotry. It seems to me that this bigotry is almost singularly focused towards the trans community, specifically transgender women. I find it very interesting. Like, a lot of people who I agree on many of their criticisms of the illiberal left, I really much disagree with the way they talk about the trans community, the I don't know, the way that they talk about the like gender ideology, as they call it, when really they're talking about critical theory, like specifically looking at gender, like it makes them lose their mind in a way on other topics that I don't see them go so far off the left field. And it's really disturbing and disappointing to me, because I don't know what it is about the transgender community, but for these anti-woke types who have gone too far, they make the mistake that I've seen often. It's not, you know, broadly necessarily true, that where they assign the opinions or behavior of the most insane, radical transgender rights activist nutjob on Twitter, you know, and they assign the behavior of that type of person, that ideology, that way of thinking, that way of behaving of that type of person to the entire transgender community, or again, more specifically, towards transgender women. And it's not fair. It's not accurate. And I really hate seeing that. Yeah, exactly. Mortard skeptics is calling it nut picking. Like when there are a lot of people in the community who disagree with that way of thinking, acting, etc. And I think that's one thing that I've really not liked about a lot of so-called anti-woke people lately, is I've noticed that pattern more and more, is this specific animosity towards transgender women. They call them misogynists, for example. It gets very weird and gender critical and like turfy flavors, kind of. It really, I don't know, a lot of it disturbs me.
Hey guys, if you're a fan of Blasphemy and Sexy Callie, you know, like me, then you need to be sure to subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description below. Because if you subscribe, we will send you a free copy of our Blasphemous Art ebook. And let me tell you, it is the tastiest blasphemy that you can find anywhere available today. And we are so generous with our blasphemy that we continue to send you more blasphemy every week. So make sure to subscribe, link in the description below.